Turn.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Flip. Today we got RJ with us. RJ's been in the phone flipping industry for quite a while at this point. I think a little bit longer than myself and Aaron Goldstein, or around the same time. Can't totally remember. But for those of you guys tuning in while you're driving around, picking up deals in your car, we got a great one for you guys today. Couple of things before we get started. Make sure to check out the resources and stuff below. We are also on Spotify and Apple and all of that good stuff now, or that saying wherever you can listen to podcasts or whatever it is. Um, with that being said, also make sure to check out the Tech Flips to Profit ebook. You can grab the audio version for free on episode 11 of the podcast. It's about 2 hours long. You can listen to it, get kind of interested in the industry, see if it's the right thing for you. If you want the PDF version, you can look below. Should be about a $4.95 thing. Couple upsells after that. That's how I get rich, just so you guys are aware. Um, you know, but just
Yeah.
kidding, obviously. But with that being said, let's kick this thing off. We got a great guest today. What's up, RJ? How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? Awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, bro.
Absolutely. I've been wanting to bring you on for a while, and I'm glad we finally found a good time. You're so busy all the time,
I know.
picking up all the deals.
Yep, yep.
For those of you who don't know, RJ is out in Vegas. He's out there with Aaron Goldstein. And the city is big enough for the both of them, too. So I don't think you guys ever cross. Well, I think Aaron does every now and then. He reaches out. I think he's told me that a few times.
Yeah,
But
he's reached out a couple times on my because my wife and I will sell, the lower end phones. We'll post them locally. And Aaron will message my wife's account because we post, she helps posting it on her account for the local sales. So she always says that Aaron's just ripping off quotes on all of our phones. And I said, "Babe, just let him go. He's gonna be going. He don't even know it's you. He's spamming, he's going and pushing it out. But
oh, he's just using Resale Hawk is what he's doing.
yep.
What he's doing.
That's what I
Using
told
that
her.
freaking
Yeah.
Chrome extension and just messaging everybody in the local area.
Dude,
No,
that's so
so
funny.
but I've
See
also
about
I've
that.
also I've also sold a bunch of phones to Aaron. That's kind of crazy how it all
Hmm.
all evolved out here.
Yeah.
It's something to where, with everything that he's doing, just a little bit of background. I started back in 2018, December of 2018, and Aaron had started his teaching group. But we were also both a part of David Kosciuszko's group. So it was right at that time where I started and I was learning from Aaron on text negotiation. That was a big part of a lot of what I do today is still the core basics of what Aaron teaches in text negotiation. But again, that was back then when it was, free ads on Let Go and
Yep.
Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. I remember doing all the Craigslist ads, man. We started this thing with no ad spend. I was a stickler with money, man. It was pay $0 and figure out how to get phones with free leads. And it was a grind. You were posting, I was having to wake up every day and post ads on three different platforms.
Yep.
Um, and try to get as consistent as possible. And you have to worry about, your ads getting flagged and accounts getting shut down and just kind of the whole underground world of marketing back then
Yeah.
in the industry was such a crazy place. But to see now where Aaron's coming to my city over the last couple of years and watched him explode with growth and success, that was scary, because it's
Yeah.
competition in the area. It's like, okay, this is the Grand Master, is the guy that taught me everything is now coming into my territory. But that was actually a good thing for me because what I had feared at first a little bit with that was oh my goodness, what's going to happen to me? But you know what? It's been awesome. Vegas is a massive city. There's plenty of room for both of us, and now I've bought a bunch of phones. I've been selling phones to him. He's been selling phones to me, and figuring out how to coexist and help each other. But that's how it is, man. So it's been a wild journey over the last 6, 7 years throughout this industry.
So with that being said, I would go to say like you found how to be collaborative with the competition, essentially. And there's quite a few other phone flippers in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've met many of them at this point. And what's funny is we had to start capping cities a little bit for
Yeah.
students
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we capped it to two typically that are active in Recelerator because we noticed like so I say that competition isn't real, right? You can collaborate and all of that. But what we did find out here, what, a couple of months ago, Matt, especially with you as well, in Tulsa, he trained three other people to do what he did in his city, and you know, wasn't a fan.
But he's
It
still getting
affects.
deals.
Yeah, he's still getting deals too. But what we did notice is those people that take it seriously, they can sometimes become competition. At least when they have those skill sets that Aaron and myself and Matt provide, it's like,
Hmm.
it
Yep.
can be a little difficult at that point, especially when you got the same skill sets. But with that being said, like you can also collaborate a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I got Eugene in my area. I have Tyler Bass a little bit further from me, and I've found ways to collaborate with both of them.
Mm.
And like if I can't get to a deal, they can. Works out,
Yeah.
and then we just split the profit on that, which is great. So you got to find ways to collaborate, and it sounds
Yeah.
like you and Aaron are collaborating really well. Um, I'm kind of curious, dude. How are you running your business nowadays? I know you've kind of gone. Is it still mostly Facebook ads? Is it Google ads at this point? What?
So it's for me now, I've been doing paid. I'll say this for everybody that's listening. I'm a late, I don't like change for me. So I'm usually last to for I guess for my journey, I told you I love free ads. I was figuring out how to make
Yeah.
money for no cost, right? Getting leads for free. That's how I started in this business for the first 2 3 years. So even when Facebook paid ads first came on the scene, I was one of the last people to even attempt and jump on board to that because I was having success with the free ads. So, paying $10 a day and adding cost to it is like, that was always been a thing for me. So I was a late bloomer to Facebook ads. I finally started doing that because that's kind of essentially after a couple of years, that's where the market really shifted.
Yeah.
Letgo got axed and it was harder and harder to do the free posting, so I had to embrace that. But just to give you guys the little bit of info, I'm resistant to some of that change. So I'm still working through some of that today.
Mm.
I'm the polar opposite of Chris. Chris is very innovative and you're always looking for the new ways to make things simpler, easier, more efficient. And I get stuck on man, this is what's worked. It's what's always worked. That's where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
So over the last 2 to 3 years, I've worked with you on that, trying to make sure that I open up my brain and willingness to change to make my business more efficient. So over the last 2 years, I've been doing Google ads. I've been doing Facebook ads paid Facebook ads ever since 2019, really. I was on paid Facebook ads from 2019 to about 2022, only running about 15, 20 bucks a day, maybe 25 is what I grew to. But over the last 2 years, I bumped that up to $50 a day ad spend on Facebook. And then I ended up adding on the Google ads for about 20 to 30 bucks a day. So for the last 2 years, I've been running between those two about 80 bucks a day in ad spend.
Hey, $80 a day on Facebook?
No, 50 on Facebook, 30 on Google.
Oh, cool. So awesome,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, so I want to ask about that real quick. Which one do you close more of right now? Is it Facebook or Google?
Oh, Google. Absolutely. And
You
again,
already know. Yeah.
I
it's
already know.
crazy
Yeah.
because you ask how I run my business. I make anywhere between 10 to 20K a month, just depending. Now, I told you about, we've had some medical stuff
Yeah.
with fertility with my wife and I that I've been dealing with traveling out of state
Hmm.
for doctors over the last year. So it's been really tough for us. But even with all of that, this year was probably the hardest year in our business because of that. Because what
Mm.
happened was there's a flow that happens every year, and we all know that come phone flipping, September is when Apple releases the new phone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So for us, September, October, November, and then we leave for Christmas. We'll leave out of state, but from September through no, December is go time in our business, the busiest time of year.
Hmm.
So for me, for the first 6 years in this business, I had been running ads and not doing any, basically from mid-September until really Thanksgiving. I'm working 7 days a week and I'm trying to maximize that time of the year and put things together and try and hit 20K months in profit and get as many of those as I can before we leave for vacation. But this year was a change to where my business got so big over those last 6 years from working that hard, keeping ads on for 365 days a year, even when I'm on vacation. You taught me don't let the flow stop, like don't turn them off, just turn them down to, $1, $5 a day, whatever it is. So that was what I've done, and I built up such a following of repeat customers that I didn't even realize that turning off my ads, we had to turn them off in September of this year, turn them off to zero because of the travel that we had to do over October, November, December is the worst time of the year in
Mm.
2024 was us having to leave multiple times a month for medical procedures for our struggles. And even with the ads turned off in late September of this year, uh, I was still making 12, 13K a month with just repeat customers and just my Google website,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
with those leads. And that was something that I didn't even think was possible. I self-admittedly have been running this entire business off of fear. I can admit that from 2018. Like if I turn off the ads, Aaron's in town, there's a bunch of competition, Las Vegas. If I turn off my ads, the customers are going to be gone. That's over. And that's kind of been my mindset. And this has been God works in funny ways. This whole stuff with the struggles actually forced me to turn things off and to open my eyes that, hey, you can have more control of your business
There you
than
go.
you think you, and that was something that I did not believe. I told you this, when I was working with you last year. I was
Yeah.
still in the midst of my fear, and you were telling me, take days off, turn off your ads, don't go out and get phones, organize your inventory.
Yeah.
And I still couldn't get myself to do it. And I finally started doing that this year. So it's been a big, big change over the last, I would say, 4 to 6 months for us
That's
as
awesome.
far as the way we do things.
Yeah, man. I mean, sometimes there's days where
Yeah.
you gotta organize the inventory, you gotta get stuff listed, you gotta get stuff shipped, you gotta do, like those days are just as important as the days where you're picking stuff up,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I mean we have this issue in Recelerator, right, where we help people generate too many leads and find too many deals,
Yep.
but it's almost like they forget the last part to sell it, you know?
Yep.
Like that becomes an issue, which
I
is
was taught,
crazy.
I was taught, and not that I was taught, but, and this is something I think for all people that are new coming in and trying to figure out their growth pattern, I always calculate a projected profit. That's how I make money. My day goes around, and when I'm talking about a successful day, it's how many items am I picking up? I don't even count lead flow anymore. I mean, this is all stuff that I need to get back to. This is something that is, I'm not talking out of confidence. I'm talking kind of to myself to,
Yeah.
I have to get back to the basis because when you do have when you're spending $80 a day between two ad sets and you're getting, I can't even count how many leads on, between Facebook and Google. You're just trying to catch up and you're missing stuff and boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, it's just I just went off of projected profit. And so when you're $500 made today in projected profit, $600 made, 700, 1,000, 1,200. I'm
Yeah.
not working today. I'm gonna go golf. I had two meetups and I made $350 projected profit. You start to that's what calms me down
Yeah.
is okay, I know I did good today, but that's projected profit. Now, if anybody that's a guy or a girl, if you have a significant other or girlfriend or boyfriend that's working with you or and whatnot, they will tell you that you have plenty of profit in your office that you can list today. But for me, that wasn't projected profit. My
Yeah.
brain, after so many years, was programmed that no, I have to go get a new customer today. Like it's
Mm,
almost like it became an addiction.
yeah.
I can't lie to you. It was very good in the beginning, and it's that hustle mentality that a lot of guys have when they first come into the industry, and it's awesome. You want that, but if you're ever going to grow and you're ever going to want to scale this thing, that's where you're going to have to take a hard look at what you're doing because eventually this business will outgrow one person and even two people if you're hustling the way that I did. And I refuse to accept that. You kept telling me that over the last couple of years, and I refuse to put the systems in place to make the business easier on my wife and I. So now, over this last 6 months, going and making 15, 20 grand a month, I've got 4 boxes of 5 grand in cost in this box, 6, 7 grand in cost in this box. I've got
Wow.
stuff all over the office that I don't even have tagged. I forgot what I paid for them. I'm
Yep.
being very transparent with you guys. It gets really messy really quick. And
Yeah.
now I've been wondering where the cash is at in certain situations
Yeah.
because of my own lack of organization. So yeah. So anyway, the last 6 months has been a real eye-opening experience to
Hmm.
where we had to have some real hard conversations, my wife and I, about my tendency to just blindly look at the next deal and just sell out for it all day, every day.
Yeah.
It's like it's crack for me. I say I'm going to stay in the office and do this. As soon as I get a lead that's closed on text messages, I say I'm not going to go out today. And then I'm like, hey, I'll just be back in 1 second. It's a repeat customer. And I'm gone. And then I'm back 3 hours later with four phones and my wife's looking at me like, what the hell? So anyway, just being very transparent with you guys.
Yeah.
Growth is the starting this business is easy. Growing it and scaling it has been a very big challenge for myself to
Uh-huh.
get over.
Dude, I mean, I get it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I had to start implementing some things. Um, so the way I do it now is if I buy something, I call it the buyer's high, right?
Mhm.
Like you, let's be real, you get a dopamine rush when you buy something.
Oh, yeah.
You were talking
Yeah.
about it's like crack,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
um what I like to do is I still meet people at Starbucks and everything, so I just bring my computer with me and I add it to my inventory sheet immediately after I buy it.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that way I know what I paid because in the past what I've done is if I don't bring my computer with me, I won't do it,
Yep.
Like I'll
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah.
Um
Yep.
so like, somebody can show up and like my computer's already open. I'm ready, Like I run that IMEI, I grab the IMEI from SIGW report and I put it in the freaking spreadsheet
Yeah.
while I'm at Starbucks, while I'm checking the phone out. That way I just don't forget because there's been many times where heck, I still have some phones and stuff over here that I forgot what I paid for. You know,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
like there's a couple. There's not a ton anymore, but there's a couple. And that's just simply because I didn't stay in the buyer's high and put it down in that moment. I mean, this goes with gaming consoles. This goes for all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we get so addicted to the buying because it's fun, you know.
Yep.
And you're like looking at the dollar signs, but it's funny, man. Like we forget about the part where we actually have to sell it.
I know a lot of people will, if they have started, they haven't had their 10K profit month or anything like that. If they're kind of going, man, these are massive numbers. I can't wait to get there. That's what I was thinking when I first started. I just wanted to get to making 10K in a month.
Yeah,
Sure.
And how do you do that? You've got to build customer clientele and repeat customers and all
Yep.
of that. But in that journey is getting lost in that journey. What
Yeah.
got you to 10K and what gets you to 20K. Eventually there is going to be a point in everybody's business that there's going to be a point where your methods are going to have to change to be able to keep your, and that's not to say that it's going to be different for anybody, for everybody, and you don't know when that's going to be because everybody's situation in life is different, but
Right.
it's coming. And I assumed, I kept listening to all you guys, and I was making so much money. Again, I came from a job that I was making 3 grand a month, or 3,500 a month total. And all of a sudden, within 6 months, I'm making 7 grand a month and 8 grand a 10. And all of a sudden, you guys couldn't tell me what to do. I was like, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
had a very big ego. I was
Yeah.
like, that sounds great. Okay. I was listening to you guys, but I wasn't listening,
yeah,
right, to the people. It got to a point where I thought I started to know what you guys know, and I started to do my own thing. And that's a very confidence is dangerous in this business in the beginning. It's very dangerous. So that's why I stay connected into your groups. But I think if I had to go back and I could change anything, um, it would be the way that I track my business from the beginning and building those systems in place. Like when you had the KPI sheet and came out with it, something like that. I
Yeah.
can't tell you the amount of headache and frustration in my relationship with my wife and myself and stress that I've caused over the last year by running a business that profits, 15, 20 grand in a month, and I don't track it properly. I don't have the
Mm.
proper metrics tracked. And so for me now, it's when you don't have everything tracked properly and you don't know where all your inventory is and your final, your total numbers of your sitting inventory plus cash plus this, which
Yeah.
self-admittedly I didn't think I had to because I was paying all the bills and I just knew I had enough, bills are getting paid. We have
yeah,
a bunch of product, we're going, and I'm awesome. Let's go hit the golf course. If you're not tracking, eventually it gets to where now all of a sudden I'm making $500 in a day and it's not enough. I'm stressed out even on the days I'm making $500 profit in a day because I don't know where everything is at. I feels like I don't have
Mm.
enough money because it's all in inventory. It's in here and it's in there. So anyway, I didn't mean to keep harping on the same kind of situation,
Hmm.
but it's brutal because I don't think enough people talk about the downside or the dark side of this business
yeah.
when you start to get to these
Yeah.
levels. And you guys have been instrumental, you and Matt, um, in your guys' program that I've been looking at, and it shined a light on what I'm not doing. I'm making the numbers, but everything you guys have done and taught, and your guys' way of going about the business was something to where I was like, well, no, I drive to all my customers and I get there and I beat the competition there. And that was a good mindset for the first 2 to 3 years, but um
Yeah.
it's affecting me in ways that I didn't even realize it would affect me now with how big it is. So now it's forcing me to do things that I don't want to do right now, which is not pick up phones and completely overhaul all of our office and our systems. And I've spent the last 2 days not buying any phones, having to organize iCloud locked phones and broken computers that I bought a year and a half ago. But you
Yeah.
know what? It's what needs to get done. And then so I put myself into that situation. I had to put my ego aside and just get it done.
Yeah.
So don't do that to yourself.
Yep.
Track your stuff, track your numbers, track your sitting inventory wherever it is in your office right now. I'm telling you, it'll be therapeutic if you have a bunch of product that you don't even know what you paid for, just stop right now, get it all on paper into a sheet somewhere, track it, know where all of your money is at, and it will give you the confidence to run the business, not bog you down.
Yeah.
I like that. I have a on my newest KPI sheet. I have it to where like it says like I have it to where like the day that I buy it, and if it hasn't sold yet, it literally puts a big black thing that says not sold yet.
Yeah.
And that's very easy to see. It's very visual, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very telling too, you know. I mean, last month, all of my items went out on an average of 4 days. They all sold within 4 days.
Whew. That's that no just I'm saying just the fact that you know that number is
Yeah,
what impresses me. That's the bigger thing. I
yeah.
would love to be able to track that type of information.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
huge.
I was working with a student. He was on his 30-day check-in about a week ago now. And I was like, all right, let's see, how many days it takes you to get rid of stuff. Took him 14 days to get rid of almost all of his stuff. And I was like, that's too long, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, how long are you taking to like, list stuff? Are you price cycling? Are you doing the stuff you need to be doing? Are you making the invoices to direct buyers immediately? I was
Hmm.
like, look, you just went full time. You
Hmm.
need to be doing this. You have time now.
Yep.
Hmm.
Time to, it's time to pony up.
And when you say price cycling, what is that?
That's Matt's term, right?
Yeah.
So, Matt, do you want to explain price cycling with eBay?
Yeah, sure. Well, a lot of people in this business, like you said, RJ, are great at buying. A lot more of them are really bad at selling, and you've got to be good at both,
Yeah.
or you won't be able to buy food. And so, price cycling is something that I discovered flipping consoles, where essentially, what you do is you look at an item, you look at its highest sold price, you look at its lowest sold price, you start the item at its highest sold price. You price it down competitively, but consistently daily. Um, Maybe by like $1 a day, depending on the cost. Higher items I usually price down more. Lower items I price down less. But you just put your hands on your store on a daily basis. And as a result, the algorithm in eBay goes, oh, look at this guy trying to be accommodating to offer a fair price for our customers. And generally, it sells somewhere between the high and the low, which makes common sense. But for people that are out there, they're like, eBay's slow. Uh, Business isn't really picking up like I thought it would. Most people they don't do this. They just put their stuff on eBay. It
Hmm.
goes into the void. It sits there stagnant, doing nothing.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You got to keep the flow going, right? And if the
Gotcha.
current stops, the sales stop. And so that's why I tell people, uh, sell or list your stuff as aggressively as you source it, and you will never lack for sales. Like that ching ching will be all the motivation you need
Yeah.
to keep it rolling.
And
But yeah,
that's something that because now that you said the term, that's yeah. So the price cycling. So that's something that I'll do. That we learned back in the beginning was $5 a day until it sells. But again, some of the lower stuff you don't need to do $5 if it's really on the low end. But um, I also will, obviously, delete the listing, relist it to kind of pop it up to the top after a couple of days if I've lowered it a couple of times too. Um, but that is something to where you caught you when I heard you say that I've been stuck on eBay with a couple of listings, and when
yeah,
somebody says it's slow on eBay, it's not selling. And this is not to anybody directly, but here's what I think, because I know this is really what it is. You probably bought the item too high in the first place, and you're not wanting to lower the price. You're
oh
really
yeah,
stuck on
yeah,
a I've done it hundreds of times. You put it
yeah,
on eBay, you're lowering a little bit, it's not selling, but you really know where your profit margin's at, and you really thought it was going to sell in this area, and
Yeah.
you leave it there, and you do that a couple of times, and then I had to wake up and go, hey, RJ, you're buying these items too high right now. You need to like that's eBay's not slow. You need to look at these items and go reassess the market and figure out how to buy these a little bit lower than what
yeah,
you're buying. That's that's that come to Jesus talk on if you got a lot of stuff on eBay that's selling quote unquote slow after you've posted it and are doing the price cycling, it's usually not eBay, it's usually you, and your buying price is usually what we all refuse to kind of admit and look at. I'm just being very honest with everybody.
yeah. It's true. The market will declare itself when you do research on eBay, since it does give you fair market value for any item, like
Mhm.
any item, right? Yeah, I mean, those numbers, like the public have spoken.
Yeah.
Like people have said, hey, this is what this item's worth. If it's higher than this, it's probably not gonna sell. If it's a little lower than this, it looks favorable.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people aren't aware that sometimes maybe we're just being a little stingy, a little greedy, or maybe just not as fair on our ROI and what we're buying, as we should be when we're paying for product.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
same student the other day. I was on a call with him. He had like $3,000 worth of iPads, and I was like, what are you doing with these, dude? You got like a good amount of your capital tied up in these. And he's like, oh, I'm trying to sell them for more on eBay. I got them from a wholesaler. I'm like, oh, so you just got a break even education. Got it.
And it happens. I'm all that's another thing I will say for a lot of people, man, is as long as you're safe with it. I'm in the very beginning of this all really it's bankroll dependent, right? What
Yeah.
you can spend on phones, what you're able to afford and whatnot. I
Yeah.
didn't have a lot. I had about 500 bucks when I first started of
Mm.
money to figure it out. So,
Yeah.
for me, I didn't have the luxury of going and trying new things. I had to buy a phone, make sure it sells
Yep.
and
Mhm.
and profit. So that taught me some great things, which was how to lo- how to lowball, how to make sure that I'm comfortable with making sure that I make a profit on a phone. Going
Yeah.
through the nose was a big thing. I think that's one of the biggest thing in the beginning is just being comfortable with that you're going to get rejected with your offers. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But for me, once I got comfortable at that 1 year mark and I was buying everything bad ESN price,
Yep.
Sprint, T-Mobile, bad ESN, didn't matter if it was unlocked. They told me unlocked. I was just, I had my offer, right? I was
Yeah.
the lowest of the low balls and I was okay with them saying no, whatever.
Yep.
But that made sure that I knew that whenever I bought a phone, I was profitable, which is important in the beginning. You have to have that confidence to do it. But once you do grab that confidence, later on and you start to build a bankroll, um, you do need to take some shots, try some different things, and you're gonna learn. Like I love that term that you said, the break even lesson.
Yeah.
Uh, I lost a bunch of money on stuff that I was testing out, trying to buy items I didn't know anything about,
Oh,
assuming
okay.
the market, trying to beat them there. And I lost some money on some stuff, but I'll tell you this, new repeat customers have come out of me reaching out on marketplace, going after consoles, going after items I'd never bought before,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not knowing if I took before I took your class, Matt, on consoles.
Yeah.
I was still buying consoles and stuff, but I had no idea what I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. And I'd try and look it up on there. And I lost on, because I didn't know what I was doing with consoles. But you know
Sure.
what?
Yeah.
I also, before that, somebody sells you a console that I lose money on, but they come back to me in a couple of weeks and they're selling me their phone and their husband's phone and wife's phone and iPad and whatever. Like you get repeat customers by getting out there and doing other things that people are not doing.
Yeah.
Somebody's selling an iPhone SE unlocked for 50 bucks and nobody wants to go drive 20, 30 minutes to them in the beginning. I'd get my butt there. I'd go grab that little stupid phone and buy it for 50 and I'd put it on local marketplace for 120 and
Yep.
take no less than 100, but I had to sell it locally. I couldn't sell it on eBay because there wasn't like you get the confidence to
Yeah.
do different things outside of just buying. All it was eBay at the beginning. That's all we had.
Yep.
But now, there's times where I'm able to look on eBay, sometimes with the Apple trade-ins or whatever, I'm able to buy off eBay and figure out a different market off eBay
Yeah.
and do stuff. So you will learn, but the bigger thing is don't let fear stop you from trying new things and growing different markets and growing different relationships
Yeah.
in the city.
Right on.
I call it diversification, right? Like, how can
Hmm.
you become more valuable to the customer? Well, you can
Mhm.
buy more things, right?
Right.
Like, let's be real. Like, our customers look at us like an ATM, you know?
Mhm.
Like that's what we are to them, you know? We
Mobile
just
pawn
we just
shop.
talk, you know? But how do you become much more valuable to the customer? Well, you can buy more of their stuff, right? I can't tell you guys how often another stat that I have, the average amount of items that I bought per customer last month, 2.3 items
That's
per
insane.
customer.
That's insane.
So now some of those, now it evens out, right? Some of those customers had like 4 or 5 items. Some of them
Mhm.
had one, but like overall, it was 2.3 last month in January. So a lot of that was they had an iPhone, then they had an iPad, and they had an Apple Watch, right?
Nice. Yeah.
Because they usually do. a lot of the time. If they have an iPhone, the likelihood that they have another Apple product is very high. Apple has built their ecosystem in a certain way where it just works that way.
Mhm.
So always ask, like always ask. Like Apple Watches. I bought a Apple Watch Ultra the other day for $230. It's gonna sell for 450. You know,
Wow,
like they can't sell that to an eco ATM. So
that's awesome.
so
You-
it's like
Yeah,
and with the consoles, like that's one reason we brought Matt on is he's the console king. He knows the ins and the outs of everything consoles, VR, and everything. Um, and like that has been just such a massive like it's a blue ocean in terms of like people there, you know.
I
yeah,
part I part out everything now because of that. Everything, not just consoles, everything we have. If I have,
my guy. Yeah,
broken phones and locked devices or whatever, figure out
yeah,
how to tear that thing apart and put it on there, and I'm making more money. It sells slower on eBay versus like, going to a wholesaler in certain
Yeah.
situations.
yeah,
But, you opened up my eyes to that. And that's because I put my ego aside and said, I'm making a lot of money, but I want to be able to grow in a different area. And that's why I hit Chris up last year, and he told me about Matt and everything about your console knowledge. And I
yeah.
go in, and you just went through with me, and you just said, look at what's just sitting on OfferUp in your city right now. Just look at it. It's just, and I couldn't believe that if I don't even have ads going for my phones, I could literally just go and make money just off of consoles. And then I started doing it and started having immediate success. And it was just another area to where I go, when I sat with Matt, I realized that I'm gonna be okay if the ads don't go down. I think that was the first time I started to feel the safety of this business. I left my job. I was working at Apple in Vegas, and
Wow.
I left in 2019. COVID hit 4 months after I left
Okay.
in 2020, because it was late 2019 that I left. And so I'm freaking out about just I'm a new full-time, you know, phone flipper business owner, and now COVID's
Yeah.
down. I'm doing Uber and picking up phone. I'm freaking out about I don't know what's gonna happen here. So I never really recovered from that. I'm always edgy about, man, things are changing, ads are changing, competition's changing. Apple every year is doing a restriction that makes phones harder to purchase. But once I got with you guys last year, and Matt showed me a whole new world with consoles, and that you don't even have to run ads if you don't want to. You could literally make a living off of buying consoles off the reach out method. There was a lot of peace that got brought to my brought to within inside of me that I didn't have before. So I want to say thank you to you guys for that, because you opened up my eyes that the money is out there, whether it's in phones, consoles, even electronics. There's other
Yep.
things that you can do. We're resellers.
Yeah.
I'm not a phone flipper. I'm a reseller is what I
Yeah.
am. Sometimes I forget that because I get too focused on just the phone, the Samsung, the iPhone, or the maybe the iPad is really all I'll catch myself focusing. And the bigger profits are in the
Uh-huh.
console. Like, there's bigger profits per dollar spent on a lot of these other items, and I'm over here fighting the world to pay $400 to make 65 on a phone, right? And while Matt and you guys are over there, and it's like, or you could go make $65 on $30 spent,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or that same
Yeah.
$400 spent, and you can make 250 like you were talking about earlier today with your Valve Index. So
Yep.
that's don't have too much stubbornness and ego that you're not learn this business is gonna change every month, every day. Stay connected is the biggest piece of advice. I was connected, but I wasn't connected. I wasn't listening to you guys. I was assuming that I knew what it was gonna take. And now there was so much stress, years taken off my life, because I wasn't asking the questions. I was assuming, and then you start, driving around like people are, and you're not
Yeah.
listening to podcasts like this, to where you're over there and you're overthinking things on the road. And I'm just thinking about all the bad things about
Yeah.
this. this industry, it's moving. I'm not making enough money today, whatever it is. Is this even the right industry to be in? What am I doing wrong? Like you start wigging out, man. You really do. And I know that I'm not the only one that has done that. We all do it if you're not connected and you're not asking questions and continuously trying to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of ways in which you can overreach. I can overreach because I'm afraid something's not going to happen.
Mhm.
I can overreach because you know what? Like it's been so good. I'll just keep buying more. I'll just keep buying more. And I think that one thing I think you've kind of danced around and I don't it's been said, but maybe not specifically, is that even to the person that's listening to this that I think doesn't like being or having to be organized, if people could only understand that the organization is only going to cause your business to run much smoother, to scale much faster, and it's also going to be something that you can actually like and enjoy. Like you're not going to be a jerk, because you're trying to, reinvent the wheel and get everything organized or sorted every day. And for me, uh, I will tell you, creating systems is Chris's bag. It's not mine. But and he does great at that. But for me, like the way that I justify the importance of the system is like, hey Matt, if you do that thing over there, like it's gonna actually allow more room for you to run and do the other stuff you like doing, which is buying, which is connecting with people, which is treating them well, which is helping other students. And I think that people got to be aware of that, that we all have things that we excel at and things that we don't. And this business, entrepreneurship, is going to ask you to wear a hat
Yep.
in multiple roles, many of which you probably are going to suck at.
Yep.
And that's a problem for you to solve, not to complain about, not to
Yes.
jump on, some Facebook group and tell the world how hard your life is. Like you have to fix that. And so, you can't manage what you don't measure. So if you haven't taken steps to be organized, it's probably owning you right now in your business. And I hope people are really taking that away from hearing you today, RJ.
And it
Absolutely.
goes to you know, it goes to that old saying, the tail is wagging the dog, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I have a dog and he wags his tail aggressively. You know what it does to him? It moves him all around. So it's like but it's true, Hormozy says it in a much more aggressive way. And he basically says like if you don't track, you don't care.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it was powerful, that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was
Yeah.
like, but I do care.
Uh-huh.
But then I had to think about it. I'm like, but I don't track well enough. So
Yeah.
I guess I don't care.
Prove it.
So, um, and that one thing about this industry is like it's such a stepping stone, you know? Like you can start this business with little to no money. You don't need an LLC right in the beginning, right?
True. Yeah.
But if you start doing some of the things that we teach in Recelerator, because essentially what we do is that we help, you know, people turn this into a real business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we excel at doing.
Mm.
We don't, side hustle to a business, and that's kind of where we come in. But like all of the skills that you learn over time, they make you a better person. Honestly, they make you better in your life as well. So for a good example of this, I started tracking my business really well. And guess what that led to? That actually moved over to like me tracking my life really well.
Yeah.
I got consistent in my business,
Yeah.
and then I got consistent in my life,
Mhm.
right? You start seeing certain things, and then you can apply them to certain other aspects of things too.
Right.
Um, So and then they work together and then they go both ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on 75 hard right now and it's like, that translates over to consistency in my business too because I'm
Yeah.
already doing the same stuff every day. So
Yes.
it's like if I just do the same stuff every day in my business, I grow. Like it's one of those things, right? And I think that's something a lot of people don't realize is like they expect that $10,000 profit month, the first month they jump in. That's not usually going to happen. And if it does, usually there's a ton of pain behind that. Let's be real. Like that first 10,000, if you get it too fast, it can break you. Like
That's really true. Yeah.
because there's a lot of lessons that have to be learned in that. And a lot of people are not prepared. I've seen so many people who started this business have done incredibly well, and then they back out because they can't handle it.
Yep.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's harder than a job. Let's be real. Like, yeah, you work for yourself, but now you work 24/7, you
See,
know?
Yeah.
I remember because this is, I mean, I love talking about this because like the hustle to the business, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, I was working at Apple, everybody's goals are different. So what did I say I want versus what did I really want? I said I want to run a business. I want to be the man. I want to make 20 to 30 grand a month. And that's what I want to be. When I think about like where I was making the money at my job, I just wanted to replace my job income or match it at 3 grand in profit a month.
Yeah.
So when you have that mentality to where I could tell you guys that I was, I want to be this great person, this an entrepreneur. When it comes down to it, what I really found out, what I really wanted at that time is I just wanted some extra money. And then I got that extra money in the beginning, like you said, very quickly, right? And it happened so quickly that what got me to 7 grand a month in profit consistently, 4 months into doing this thing, then to 10 grand in 6 months.
Yeah.
What got me there was just hustling, and there was so much money that what do? You leave your job. This is it, and now I've got more time. And this is what this is. I did it. I've done it, right? I know what I'm doing. That was the mindset that got me there, and that's that dangerous, because I was side hustling. I was side hustling hard. And when I left, like you said, you start this thing and you start doing habits that got me there, which is just answering leads, getting to customers, buying phones, and flipping it as fast as you can. That's
Yeah.
all that I knew. Being an entrepreneur, having organization, tracking your numbers, understanding what you are actually doing on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis was not a part of anything that I was about
Yeah.
when I was literally getting on these calls telling you guys how to quit your job, right? I was all excited. Let me tell you exactly how to do this, man. You got to hustle, you got to go, you got to
Yeah.
make sure that you're there. I was saying I wish I could listen to one of my things from 2019.
Mhm.
Just listen to myself and I was going, man, what do you the stuff you don't even know right now about yourself,
Yeah.
right? That you're about to learn through this journey.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why I think for today, you guys listening to my story, I'm not ashamed of it at all. I was ashamed of it probably 2 years ago, just kind of making all this money and riding my high horse. But really, it's like, man, you're not tracking a lot. There's a lot of disorganization going on. And really, you have a lot of stress and fear about where this business is actually going to go versus the
Yeah.
excitement that you had in the first 2 years of this business. The
Yeah.
excitement turned to fear because I was refusing to grow and do the grown-up things, which is be an entrepreneur and be active in your own business. But yeah, that's where this isn't going to be for everybody when they
No.
start. Everybody listening to this podcast, you may listen to this and go, I don't want any part of that. I just want to be able to make my money and make my extra 3 grand a month and keep my
Yep.
job or my monthly expenses are 2 grand, 2,500 a month, and I can make 4 grand and be happy. That's
Yeah.
where they want to stay, and you can do that. But for me, things change when, I have a wife now. We're trying to have kids, and we're having difficulty having kids. Those medical bills, holy crap.
Yeah.
What I make now in a month, all of a sudden, that's not enough. And I'm blessed to have this business, but
Yeah.
Mm.
God is telling me, hey, you want what you and your wife want. It's time to start doing the things that you refused to do as a man, and you were a little boy.
Mm.
No, I don't mean to talk down on myself, but that's kind of where it was. It's
Sure.
time to
Yeah.
grow
Yeah.
up. And I didn't know where to grow up. And what I found out is what you guys talked about. It's growing up in all areas of my life. And right now, my business requires you to be organized and be the entrepreneur that you said you were going to be 6 years ago when you started this. So it's all coming to a head. So I hope everybody can listen to my story and just kind of understand that you can get to 20 grand a month side hustling. You can. I don't suggest it. Because if you do get to 20 grand a month side hustling, your life is going to be miserable if you're not
Yeah.
organized.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
very, very like I
Um,
don't people dream about it, right? They're like, I want to be
Yeah.
making this amount per month, and like, so I do, I do the reselling. We do Reselerator. We do software with Resell Deck and Resale Hawk.
Mhm.
A lot of you guys probably look at me and think that that stuff is easy. I wake
Hmm.
up to fires every day, 3 to 4, almost they're all emergencies every single day. Like, and I'm not talking little stuff. I'm talking software breaks. I'm talking like resell deck is down or
Yeah.
something's not
Yeah.
working or
Yeah. Yeah.
it, honestly at this point the reselling side of things is easy compared to
Yeah.
everything else. And I make a relatively good amount per month on all of those things, but the thing that most people don't realize is like as you scale up in whatever business,
Yeah.
it becomes much, much harder. And it's going to
Yeah.
demand much more time and it's going to demand much more skill,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot more skill.
Mhm.
Um, and like, I had a couple of years ago, it was probably about 2.5, or no, about a year and a half ago now. I remember, one of my good friends, I messaged him and I was like, bro, I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack with how many messages I'm getting right now between the reselling, between, support stuff and things like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, the messenger notifications just won't stop. Like, it's like ping, 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 ping. I'm sure
Oh yeah.
you've understood that, RJ and
Oh
Matt,
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
where it's that just that noise over and over again. And
Yeah.
it almost drives you insane. And I remember he was like, bro, just turn all your notifications off. And I was like, but people need me, you know?
Hmm.
And he's
Hmm.
like, I don't care. Turn them off or you're not going to be able to talk to them at all. You're going to get frozen and you're
Yeah.
not going to be able. And like, that's the kind of stuff that happens when you start making more. It's
Yep.
like you start having near panic attacks because like you can't handle the amount of of what you have to handle at that point, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah.
So
So
go ahead. Yeah.
no, no, go ahead. I was you just hit on a really good point. Um, you start to become numb to it. The last year, it was so much for us to handle that I started to become, I was paying $50 a day on Facebook ads and not responding to any messages for 3 months. Just
Ooh.
because, and didn't turn off the ads. I want that, I was addicted to the ad flow. It's like, all right, business is there, but I had so much going on with my wife and travel and fertility
Yeah.
and we don't have time for this right now, to where when it time to come, we would come back from our trips and get back, and it's like, all right, it's time to do what I do and hustle. And all of a sudden that drive's not there anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just numb to all of the, I used to make sure that you respond to every customer. It's how you started in the beginning. And now all
Yeah.
of a sudden I'm going days without even looking or following up, or people are wondering if I'm off the planet because, and I couldn't figure out why. And it's because I was burnt out from my business. I didn't have the stamina, and all of those messages coming in, never turning it off,
Yeah.
had finally caught up with me after about 5 years of just running it a certain way.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff that you guys got to be careful, because I said that this would never happen. I was like, how do you just have messages on, the other people talking about burnout in business? I was making so much
Yeah.
money, and it's like, no, it's not going to happen if you're not organized and you're not doing it. I've watched you, um, your capacity, Chris, to handle more has grown.
Oh yeah.
You didn't wake up today with the ability to handle everything. Like, you went through it
Yep.
and you knew that you had to put systems in place. That was the difference between me and you a couple of years ago, is that we were talking about the same stuff, but you were trying to implement systems
Yeah.
and I was trying to avoid that. It was even, this is really not, this is just a thing today, is what it is. This will go away tomorrow. That's really what my mindset was. And
Yep.
I'd suffered last year because of it, not financially, but
Mhm.
just stress and health and
Yep.
worry wise, because of my actions. And yeah, man, that's something that is, it's it's crazy to talk about it. I know it's funny. It's like, well, let's talk about the excitement of
Yeah.
somebody who's been there. And it's like, let's peel the layers back. I'm very grateful for where I'm at. I cannot believe that with all the medical stuff we have going on, the only way we can get through this is because I have the ability to go out and make 500 to $1,000 a day pretty
Yeah.
consistent when I
Pretty
decide to.
incredible. Yeah.
Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong.
I was
I
talking to my wife kind of about this yesterday and this morning. She's pregnant, right? So she's in her she gets moody, obviously.
yeah,
And she was talking to us. She's like, "Do you have to go pick up that deal right now?" And I was like, "Oh, it's 12, so yeah." But like we were talking, and I was like, "Look, like currently we are very rich in what we have, very rich because I'm home all the time,
yeah,
all the time. And sometimes, like once you go full time, I feel like we forget that a little bit.
mhm,
You know,
Yeah.
we are now at home literally 24/7.
Yeah.
And in and of itself in this day and age is very rich.
Yeah.
Like, so I think, in my mindset it became apparent a couple months back. I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, things are getting busier. I agree. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm here all the
yeah,
time,
Yeah.
and I remember hearing somebody talk about how their kids were growing up so fast, but they were also working 8 hours a day, you know? So yeah, your kids are going to grow fast when you're
yeah,
working 8 hours a day. I get to
yeah,
see my kid every day. I homeschool him. We do all that stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that in and of itself is, I mean, we might not be super rich, monetarily wise, but I think as far as life goes,
Yeah.
very rich. Not a lot of people get to do what I get to do or what Matt gets to do now, or what you get to do.
It's why we did this
Exactly.
was for the time.
Yep.
And so I'm that's why I was, yeah, it's letting you know too. It's that gratefulness for that. This business allows me to be in places and do things like going to handle all this infertility stuff. I keep harping on it, but we have the time to do that, right?
Yeah.
To go and take care of what's
Yeah.
important to us and to you guys. So, I don't want the first half of the podcast to me saying like, hey, I'm miserable, but it's just
Yeah.
it's not as easy as you think when you're making money in this business. You need to change to be able to support your business.
Yeah.
So that's why I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows it's not just what got you to 10K. Probably I will say probably 70% of the people, what got them there.
Yep.
Eventually those habits will need to be looked at and changed to make sure that you're not burning yourself out
Yeah.
in the next year or two, so you can enjoy and look back on the gratefulness that you should have for what this business allows us, man. You're right. We're sitting here, it's 10 a.m. on a Friday, right? And we're
Yeah.
doing podcasts or whatever,
Yeah.
and I get to choose when I go do certain things today. That's all because of this business. So it has
Yeah.
it there, but for me, it's I guess the key points are track everything right now, even if you're tracking nothing, it's okay. I don't care if
Yeah.
you're making 20. I don't care if you're somebody like me making 20K and you haven't told anybody that you haven't tracked. It's okay. You're not the only one out there. I was too. Just start
Right.
tracking today. Stay connected in a group like your guys's group. I think that's vitally important,
Oh
is
yeah.
to stay connected in the community for changes in the market, changes in strategy, and just keeping your mind fresh. You have to. It'll keep you sane.
Yeah.
Um, but then also too, it is something to where make sure that you're challenging yourself daily. And what is your business gonna look like in the next year to 3 years? That's something that I wasn't looking forward to. I was just trying to survive daily and make $500 a day, go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go. But now that I'm starting to track and starting to get a little bit older, value my time a little bit more,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't need to, what I found out, Chris, I don't need to make 20K in a month.
Yeah.
I
You don't
only
need it
need
to
to
live,
make I only need to make around 10 to 12K to get all the bills paid, put some in savings, invest, and
Yep.
pay off some of the debt that we have, and be sane and have time with my wife and
Yeah.
not be able to do that. I didn't think that. I was all I was And Feldon actually helped me with this because Feldon, I don't want to get too much into his story with his sister, but he had a tragic loss
Yeah.
this last year, and it really changed his perspective because he was the same. He was trying to build his website, he was
Yeah.
wholesaling, doing his thing, and man,
Yep.
he was getting up there, but he's making that 30, 40, 50K a month, but he's got zero, I'm when you say zero time, 0 hours of the day
Yeah.
to himself. He is at the mercy of everybody. It got so bad that once that happened, he took a step back and he's scaling everything back and getting it to where that's what we've been talking about, me and him, over the last couple of weeks, is I don't need to be running this hard blindly trying to make, we're at 20K. That's not enough. You start to get in that mindset of not enough, and you're never going to be happy. You got to figure out what your real goals in the business are and what you need to survive and what you want the business to look like in 3 years, whatever that is.
Yep.
And have a plan, because I didn't have one. And again, I've been the dog, the tail's been running me. And it just doesn't have to be that way. So I hope that definitely helps some people.
I think one thing there, like you highlighted it pretty good. Um, like it was, I don't know, ever since I turned 30, I guess, I've been looking at time a little differently. Because my oldest boy is now 6. So it's like, where'd the time go, you know?
Yeah.
And you start
Yeah.
seeing things happen quick, and it's like, okay, I need to I need to figure out what I need to do that I can do consistently every single day, but also, go outside and fly the drone that I bought my son.
Hmm.
Like, how can I, and I've had to implement like an AI boss for myself. Like, this is a real thing just for you guys listening. Like,
Hmm.
I in Chat GPT, like I put together what's called an AI boss, where it's like, hey, I go in, here's what I did today, here's what happened. I got an AI calendar. Like, everything is mapped out at this point to give me the most bang for my buck when it comes to time, right? I was in that area where it was like, I need to sell, 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 sell. I need to buy, buy. Like, it was Matt. I was in the DMs with you almost every day.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Matt is literally my sounding board for some things. Like, sometimes I just need to reach out to him, send him a voice memo, and I remember a couple weeks back, actually, I somebody sent me some message asking for some sort of discount on some software, and I like lost it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I've had those
I
moments.
was like, I blocked him, and I was like, I can't do this right now. Can't. I built it because it was one of those things
I
where
was holding my boy back, you know what I'm saying? I had to hold him back.
I built the thing from scratch, and this dude was like, I can't make $70 a month to pay for this thing, and I was like, you what? Like, bro, I'm gonna lose my crap right now. So it was one of those things.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, Matt can tell you I've scaled things back quite a bit in terms of like marketing for the program, and
Hmm.
and I've actually put more focus back on the flipping business now, actually,
Yeah.
because dude, that's way more fun. It's so much
Yeah.
easier. Like like a lot of people think running softwares and running a coaching program is like easy stuff and the money just flows in. Nah, bro. Like, these people got problems.
Yes. Yes.
So like, just going out and flipping something is honestly probably something the best thing that I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
to number one, keep up with the industry stuff. I mean, we recently increased the price of Recelerator and everything just to
Yeah.
work with more serious people and all of that good stuff. But like today, like I'm go after this podcast, I'm going to buy a phone. I'm going to make 120 in profit on it. And then I'm actually, for everybody listening, I'm actually driving to a deal today. Like,
Hey.
30 minutes to go buy a Valve Index.
Heyo.
But you know what I'm going to make off of it? I mean, Matt, you said everything was going to sell for like 1350 or something like that.
Yeah, you stand to make at least $1,000 off of this deal,
Yeah. So
probably.
I'll drive 30 minutes to make a grand. I'll be real.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's good of you, Chris. That's
yeah,
good.
you know.
Um,
So I thought about
um,
getting it Ubered to me, but it's a
I
Jesus.
Valve Index. I don't want to throw that in the car with a random stranger. So, um,
I think it's
but
awesome. I
I
think
think,
there's I
yeah,
would like to express this
go
in
for it.
regards to uh I think that what RJ what you've said is that the business can't mature any further than the man, right?
Mhm.
Like these things have to go together because if there's a limitation in me, it's going to somehow manifest in my
Yep.
business in some way, shape, or form. Um, and then the thing about the money though is I think what it exploits is freedom. A lot of people get into this, they chase this dream because what they want is the freedom. But
Mhm.
what they don't realize is that, when you get to that place where that freedom is on, it's on offer, it's on access. A lot of us don't know what to do with it because we've never had it,
Yep.
and it will challenge the man, it will challenge your demons,
Mhm.
and um, definitely like call out some places that need to that we have to take a deeper
Yeah.
level of ownership and stuff.
Yeah. That's why, and you said that so perfectly because I think that's why I love what you guys are doing with the podcast. Um, it's, people are going to be listening to this while driving. So they get to listen to us being open and honest
Yeah.
about kind of what's real in the business, the real feelings. And there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this that
Yeah.
they have the same fears and they're not sure. And it's just, so I needed something like this when I first started as a podcast like this as I'm driving around and I just
Mhm.
left my job and I'm not sure and this or that, blah, 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 blah. You're going to have doubts. And what I would say is do not be afraid to admit and look inside of you on areas that you're going to need to grow as a human, not as a business owner, but just as a human. Really
Yeah.
look at why you're at where you're at, or why you're feeling the way that you're feeling about the business is another question you need to ask yourself. Why am I feeling this way? And is it the business? Or is it me? That's usually what it's come down to with me when I self-reflect on it. I'm pissed off at a customer. I did the same thing you talked about, Chris. I listen, I've told a lot of customers off, not happy about it, right? But I've
Yep.
my wits end, when somebody wants $700 for their iPhone 11 and I can't take it anymore and I just gotta give them an education on how you could even send that out. I've been at that point in the day and stressed out or whatever. And a
Yeah.
lot of it is because I was thinking a lot about all the stuff that is wrong in the world when really it's stuff that I'd neglected in my own business is why I was there. And it's just
Mhm.
something to where it's okay once you just admit that you were wrong and that you made some mistakes, admit it to somebody else, mentor, somebody
Yeah.
inside the business. It's
Yep.
it's important for you to get that stuff out. If you're having struggles in your business or whatever, and you're not sure why, or you're frustrated about whatever, you need to have an outlet, whether it's a mentor in the business, your wife, a girlfriend, whatever it is, somebody, but don't hold that stuff in
Yeah.
and not talk about what you're really feeling about your business. Because once you start talking about it, then you can start getting down to it and then make the necessary changes. But us men, man, we got egos. We got egos. It takes us a
Yeah.
while to admit when
Yeah.
we're wrong or we're messing up somewhere or something's not working because of us.
Yep.
So I blamed the business for a while. Maybe this business isn't for me. I was looking at other stuff. I need to go try and find another deal. And it's like, no, you can go to another side hustle. You can start another one. Go ahead, go do it with the same skills that you have, and you'll be successful. You'll go make the same
Guilty.
amount of money, and then you'll be stuck in the same stuff because you're not growing as a human.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of deep stuff in this podcast just about ego and self-reflection, but I feel that it's important, man. I'm just one example
Yeah.
of somebody that has struggled with a lot of this stuff, but that's okay. I'm okay
Yeah.
with it now. It wasn't okay to admit some of that 3 years ago. I'm still trying to hold on and tell you guys that everything's good, everything's great. I'm making 15 grand a month and hell yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do. It's like, dude, you need to shut up and you need to figure out what your inventory is in your office so you can be stress free and start listening to Chris and Matt when they tell you to take a day off and to list your inventory. I would have done that 3 years ago. My wife and I wouldn't have had to had as many fights as we have over the last 2 years. But
I think a lot of people. So one thing I do want to point out is, um, a lot of you guys think that people are doing super well, mostly due to social media, but people are, usually just they're posting their highlights, right?
mhm,
Like that's all social media is. It's a highlight reel, right? Same thing with YouTube, same thing with stuff like that. I mean, that's one reason we created this podcast too, was like let's actually look under the hood here a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like what's
Yeah.
actually happened? Because dude, I've talked to so many people that were, we're doing 40, 50K a month, right? And then we actually look into their numbers and these guys are making nothing.
Yeah.
Like, but they sound good, right? Like
Yeah.
the messaging and the talking and all of that. But most of the time, and I've had to do that myself, like until we thoroughly like track things even further than what we were tracking. I realized like I had to put systems in place for myself. Like Matt knows this. Like I don't make decisions on the weekend anymore. So
Amen.
like that's a thing for me is I don't make decisions on the weekend because they're usually wrong.
Yeah, decision fatigue is a real thing, and people need to
Yes.
understand, like, if your brain's tired, it's probably not the time to decide to switch up something in your business.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know, and if people, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about joining Recelerator or Console Kings, obviously we've been able to help RJ.
Hmm.
Chris has his course, I have mine, but we're just here to kind of speak maybe the point for today is like if you find that you're chasing that freedom, you want to get free of your job, you want to make more money. Um, but one thing you're going to need with that I think is very exposed in this podcast today is you're going to need structure. If you don't have
Yes.
structure,
Yep.
water can just go anywhere. It needs to be channeled. And
Mhm.
so it takes more than just the willingness to hustle. I'd say that is the base element. That grit to stay in the game is
Yeah.
important, but it's not going to keep you there. And so we would love to help you if anybody's hearing
Yeah.
this and wants to team
Absolutely.
up.
And
Well, I got to
bookmark.
get prepped to go buy this phone and then grab that Valve Index, but go make my, $800 to $900 today. Let's
Yeah, that's what it's all about, baby.
All right.
But with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Smart Flip. RJ, we'll have to have you on again, man. This was great stuff.
Man.
For
I
sure.
think it was also pretty therapeutic for you, sounded
Oh,
like.
dude, it's listen, man, we need
Cathartic.
this. Now, you guys are awesome. I love everything that you guys have done over the last couple of years. I've been watching now, Matt too, you just watching you guys take this thing off and grow. And again, you guys are growing a business and you guys are helping other people. And it's something to where people like you guys, man, I don't think you guys realize how much this helps. I didn't realize how much this helps. I was making a lot of money, but talking to you guys over the last year, you guys saved me from myself and a
Hmm.
lot of the self-deprecating thoughts and fears and whatnot to where it's okay to have them. So I just want to
Yeah.
say thank you for having me on. Yeah, man, I'll come on again and the next
Awesome.
time I'm on, hopefully I will have a structured plan for my business where I can tell you guys, listen, this is how you structure your business in your office and keep your relationship life
Go.
going.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'll make sure of that. But thank you
Well,
guys for having me on.
Well,
All right,
thanks,
bro.
guys, for watching another episode of the Smart Flip or listening, whatever you're doing. If you're driving around picking up deals, we'll be back next week with another podcast, maybe another guest. We'll see. But if you're interested in, checking out some of the resources we have, feel free to just look below. And once again, the ebook, if you're brand new, the ebook is a great place to start. You can get it for free on episode 11 of the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all of that. With that being said, guys, I gotta go buy some stuff and make some money. So see you guys
We
later.
did it. All right, guys.